Okay, first thing is I've been digital for some time, since 2006. Before that, I spent about 6 years in traditional advertising. So my background is actually integrated, but since 2006, I was fully on digital. So I've been part of this digital trend. I was doing social media before people were talking about social media. So it's very interesting to see how important it has become these days. A little bit about my role. I'm not just a strategist, I'm a creative director. So I actually initiate campaigns from strategy and follow them through all the way to the execution. And most of the time, my insights come from the execution phase. And that's why some of my clients, be it L'Oreal or Unilever in Asia, find it useful to engage me on a consultant basis. Basically, just ask me questions about market and consumers. And I'm going to share with you all some of the insights that I've gained lately. Okay, this is the group. This is the group you need to market to, seriously. Don't bother marketing to their uncles, parents. Those people, the baby boomers born in 1970s, they are too set in their ways. They are not open to new foreign brands, and seriously, they're not interested in your product message. These guys, the millennials, the people born in 1980s to 1990s, they are the ones who give a fuck about new brands from other countries. So the thing is, if you're talking about social media, come right down to it. Social media, social commerce, content marketing, all of this is a subset to millennial targeting. And what millennials is, let me play you a quick video. It was done by Group M about last year. So this is just a quick preview about this particular consumer segment. Okay. I'm going to go through the slides very quickly. Please do not take notes. The main key points is in the subject title. The body of the slide is merely there to provide support for the point, and you can get this from the organizer later. Okay, a little bit about my company. Well, basically, one of Asia's few social media agencies. We handle the global social media retainers for quite a few clients, like Intel and Lenovo. Okay, I'm going to go straight to this. Foreign players have problems making headway in China. Okay, problem is all of us we perceive everything through cultural lens, and culture is a barrier that most MNC brands have problems addressing. Okay, let me address one point on culture and compare it with that in Australia. China takes first place for going online for self-expression and transaction. Australia takes 22nd place. And based on Edelman's 2003 brand share, they also shows that Chinese expects the same from brands. Brands need to be just as expressive as this particular consumer target audience, and they want the brands to actually actively tell them what is their brand belief, their brand purpose, as well as the story behind the product, and more importantly, allowing them to co-create with their favorite brands while providing inputs on their products. So if there's a take-home from this talk, please remember the 4 C's. 1, content is king in China. 2, culture is a must. Culture of your brand, culture of a country, and find ways to find common ground with the Chinese consumer's culture. Commerce. If you get the content and culture part of it right, enabled by social media, it will lead to commerce. And last but not least, if you want an enduring relationship, co-creation with Chinese consumers is a must. Okay, problem with China, all of us here know about it. There's so many social platforms, and I can tell you upfront, this is still going to be the situation for the next few years. Just a very quick review. For example, every social network has a particular purpose. Weibo platform is definitely a news platform. It's for those who want to be the first to know or the first to show, for example. The thing is, whenever I get briefs in China, the moment I know the location, it always involves different types of social media habits. For example, tier 1 cities, I have to consider these platforms. Tier 2, I have to focus more on Qzone. And Qzone is probably the biggest social gaming platform right now in China. And social SNS in China is more than just for advertising or for PR. It's also customer service, CRM, branded entertainment platform, gaming platform, e-commerce. There's so many usage for social media in China. And if you're thinking about doing something in China, you probably start with Xinlang Weibo platform. This is just a sample of how it looks like. But my advice is to be very cautious about using Weibo now, because the first quarter of this year shows a 30% drop in usage, partly because of people moving to WeChat. And in terms of the amount of time people spend on WeChat is around 6 times more than Weibo these days. Okay, in a nutshell, what's different between Xinlang Weibo compared to Twitter and Facebook? Xinlang Weibo, one Weibo tweet is basically a combination of a Twitter tweet and a Facebook post, in that this Weibo tweet actually has a comment column that a tweet from Twitter normally doesn't have. So it's a far more engaging type of tweet compared to the one you see in Twitter. Okay. Renren, which used to be called Xiaonei Wang, is a direct clone of Facebook in its early days as a college students portal. Unlike Facebook though, it doesn't have that many online community users using it these days, maybe about 45%. But the key thing I want you all to take note is Facebook spreads very quickly when the users use their own name to create their profile. But the problem is in Asia, especially in Northeast Asia, people blog, tweet under their own alias. That's why Facebook was never popular in Japan until the earthquake and nuclear crisis, because no one dared blog under the real name. But during the crisis period, there was a lot of fake news that was being spread around, and online influencers and communities said that, okay, from now, anyone who wants to say something, say under the real name, because there's a lot of tragedy going on. And that's how Japan become more accepting to Facebook in the last 1-2 years. So the usage of real name is a very big, important cultural difference. Okay. Another cultural difference is that Facebook users in US are more focused on keeping up with family. And they are not so much concerned about following brands. But for Renren users, they are far more concerned with keeping up with their classmates, their industry peers, as well as the brands they like. That's why even if Renren is becoming less popular, most brands have sizable Renren communities to fund their back-to-school programs, because what better to sell your brand to the young Chinese consumer when they are still in school, before they actually become an active consumer in the marketplace. Social media is also moving on, is also evolving in other older SNS platforms. I refer to forums, or in China they call it BBS, bulletin board system. Bulletin board system right now are used to talk about niche topics, for example, about cars, about health. Then these are the type of conversations you don't normally see on those more casual form of social network. Blogs are still alive and kicking. Industry portals that focus on particular information, for example, 丁香网 for healthcare, and Auto Home X-Car for cars, are still alive and kicking. Location-based services are popular, and they are also very niche. Part of the, I think you all can tell that why location-based is taking off is partly because of its linkage to social dating. So for example, Momo and WeChat is gaining a lot of fans, partly because of social dating, as well as for messaging booty calls from some of the last research I've seen. So what I'm trying to say is that even social media is very affected by culture. Okay, I'm going to touch a little bit on WhatsApp and WeChat. Why WhatsApp and WeChat? Because they are the most compatible type of platforms I can share with you all. WeChat is basically WhatsApp on steroids. It has Instagram photo filters. It has gamification features, like shaking a bottle to leave a message for anyone to find. It has 4 squares checking, and it allows QR code. It has everything WhatsApp doesn't have.